Hey guys, and here is the Beats headphones tutorial I promised for a very long time. I'm finally getting to it, so let's start. Now, I would typically use black for the inside of the headphones, but I'm going to use white, and then I'm going to use a light blue, and then some black. I don't need this brown, it's just in there. Also, I'm going to need two different size cutters, one for the inside of the headphones and one for the outside. Some edible glue or piping gel, a small circle for the outside, and a razor. Alright, so let's go ahead and start. Now, depending on how big or how long you want your headphones, I like to make mine a small size that fit on top of a cake, but it's completely up to you. And also, you know, you want the ratio of what would we call that part? The one that sits on your head and not in your ears. We kind of want that to be elongated so you don't get a short headphone and it looks a little lopsided or weird. I would highly recommend using gum paste or tylose within your fondant so it dries faster and quicker. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the bigger size, this one. And I'm not pushing down, I'm only putting a template to the other side. Make sure that it is at least symmetrical. Now what you're going to do on the inside, depending on how thick or thin you want it, this is completely up to you. Remember, try it and then see how you like it. And then you can go from there. This is about 1/2 inch. You can go bigger. Once you got that done, you're going to push on this half of the circle, not right here, on this half. So on the end, you're basically creating that circle without cutting the whole circle. Okay, so then you're going to go in there, because you're not going to cut this part. And just make sure it is cut completely. And then take the fondant out, like so. If you feel like it is crooked, remember you can take it apart. I would suggest cutting it and then gluing it. But that is the basis of our headphones. Perfect. Now what you want to do is from the inside, you're going to mark, well, not yet, but this is how big your inside is going to be, this size. For the inside, we do want to get a gray color, and the outside too. So how I get my gray is a little bit of black and some light blue. Yes, light blue, not white, because if you're using white, you can get a purple tone and you want to get a nice gray. So I'm just mixing a little bit of black into the light blue. Now this is how dark you want it, how light you want it. It's really dependent on you. Remember, try different mediums and see what works for you. I'm going to add a little bit more black. And you can see this gray really start coming through. Just make sure you mix it in completely, like so. So once you got that going, I'm going to put a little cornstarch. It's starting to stick. It's really humid over here. We're in monsoon season in Arizona. Alright. See that nice gray coming together? Perfect. That's exactly what I want. Now, I am using fondant. I did recommend to you guys to use gum paste or tylose within your fondant because you want it to dry. So you're going to lay this out flat. You can do this part super flat. You're not going to need a big chunk. So we're going to cut out actually the same size circle, like that. And then we're going to place it on the inside, like so. And we're going to do that with the edible glue. Have some edible glue here. opening it up. I did get this from Kaljava, so if you go to kaljavaonline.com, you can purchase this glue, or you can just use some piping gel. Completely up to you. It's just more efficient for me to have. And then you just mold it in place like that. Push it in. Perfect. All right, so now we're gonna get some white. Now again, this is completely up to you. You don't have to use white, you can use black. Most beads do have a black inside. And you wanna do at least about 1/4 of an inch, a little bit thick, so it looks like puffed out insides of a headphone. But again, it's completely up to you. Now you can use the same size because it is going to be a little pushed in with the ridges we're going to give it, or you can do a smaller size. Completely up to you. I never get tired of saying completely up to you. So you can do this one, or you can do this one. That one, it just gives it different dimensions. Now you can use whatever flat end or toothpick or razor and just literally go in, and you're just giving those ridges. Like I said, I would normally use black, but I decided to use white today. And did you see the thickness? That's the thickness that you're going for. And make sure you push in enough to give it a nice indent. Now when we put it on, you'll see what I mean by it made it a little smaller. Make sure, go like that. You could put it in this way, whichever way you want. So that one's the big one, and here's the small one. Whichever works best for you. You guys are never gonna get tired of hearing me say that, because you have to add your own uniqueness. You have to use your own creativity. I give you the platform and you guys do some amazing stuff. So I would add some glue. If you feel like you need it bigger, just stretch it out a little with your fingers. If you feel like this one's too big and you need a size in between, just stretch it out with your fingers like so. You can even give it an indent like that. You do that with this one too. Remember, it's dependent on the size you want to do. Remember, this is 1/2 inch. The bigger, just, you know, eyeball it. There's really no exact measurement, but 1/2 inch to 1 inch are good sizes. And again, I'll have everything in the description box below, some notes on what best works. All right. I'm going to stretch it out a little bit. You want them to be cohesive. Now, if you feel like the outside is too big and the inside is still too small, you can always stretch it out, or you can cut the outside. Obviously, you're not going to cut that, but you can cut the outside and trim it down. Completely up to you. So there's that. And then what we want to do is put the little beat symbol in there. You could use white or the color of the beads that you're using. I'm just going to use a piping tip. You don't need it to be too thick. So there's one, and there's two. Just as long as it goes in the middle and it looks cohesive. Now, I'm going to use white. I'm going to make it like a noodle shape. Like so. I'm gonna thin it out. And I'm gonna create a bee. Now I'm gonna zoom in so you guys can see. I'm gonna create a bee. I'm gonna put a little bit of the edible glue. And basically create that bee. Don't worry if it doesn't come out the first time, just try it and try it again. So if the bee looks too weird or it's not matching, get a toothpick or something to help you make that bee. You'll cut it like so and push the bee up from the bottom, and then there's your beats. Beats letter beats, I guess, but the logo obviously. So we're gonna put that on the back, and we'll do the same with the other side. All right, now we got both sides completed. You're gonna let this dry. You would typically put some tissue paper or whatever's gonna work for you. Again, you're never gonna be tired of hearing that. Whatever works for you, and let it dry. I want this a little trimmed down, so I'm just going to get my razor. Wait a little so it's a little more dried. And then you can start trimming it. But there's that. I would definitely let it dry like this. Put some things in place like this and this, you know, like that. Put something on the other side. Let it dry. It can have a flat side to it because no one's gonna see the bottom. But that is the completed beats. I'm gonna let this dry, take a couple pictures, and that's what you'll see is the finished product. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial.